College basketball is strange at times. We just finished 5 games in 10 days, and now we have 5 games total in the month of December. So with finals coming up and the conference beginning this week, we're going to have more time, obviously, to make some improvements on our team once we get through this week. Colorado State, I watched 5 of their games yesterday. They're much better than I thought they would be. They have a lot of freshmen, but Nico's done a really good job of getting them on the same page. They're really defending at a good level. Won 4 straight games and are playing really good basketball right now. And a lot of time that's coach speak. Try to get your team ready, overhype the other team. But from what I've seen on tape, they're much improved from last year, and it will be a great challenge to go into Fort Collins and try to get a victory on Wednesday.
Brian, when you started this, when camp opened, you had an idea of potential. What has surprised you the most as you push this thing to 8-0? Any one aspect of the team, the roster, the games?
No, you always have a plan, Lee, what you think you want to be. We wanted to be better defensively, better rebounding, and we worked hard enough where we seem to be a pretty good defensive team right now. Offensively, I knew we had a lot of pieces, but it's always trying to get them to play together, play the right way, and fit together. So, as much as that happens in practice, until you get on the game floor and see it firsthand, you're kind of guessing. So now that we've seen 8 games, we've seen that this team has a certain amount of grit to it, coming down from 9 points behind at BYU, coming from 16 down against Iowa on a neutral. So we seem to have a level of toughness where, and that's mental toughness, where we can withstand a team's pretty good punch and hang with the game plan, keep defending, and find our way to the victory. And this team has shown it can do that, which is a good sign for this year.
Where has that mental toughness come from, Dutch? Because I think it's probably safe to say that previous teams might not have quite had that.
It's veterans. It's we got 5th-year seniors, we got 4th-year juniors, and we've got guys that have been in the program 2 or 3 years. So we have a lot of experience. I was saying today, as good as Keyshawn Johnson is, and he could be one of the better players we've ever had here, he can't find his way on the floor, and it's only because of experience. It has nothing to do with talent. He's very talented, but that just shows how important experience is, where when he finally gets up to speed with how we're doing things defensively and offensively, and he's going to have to do it in practice. I'm going to try to get him game minutes. Then he'll find his way onto the floor. But that just shows you the importance of having some experience on the floor that a talented freshman can't crack into any minutes right now.
What are some of the things you mentioned you're going to have a lot of practice time in this month? What are some of the things that you like, long range, you'd like to improve and work on?
I want to get our fast break better. I don't think our fast break where it needs to be right now. Get the ball up the floor quicker with the pass, outlet it quicker, push it up the floor. We've been messing with zone in practice. We haven't played any yet, so I'd like to continue to look at our zone a little bit. And there's obviously, once the season's going, we find out maybe we have some strengths we didn't know we had, and maybe put a set play or 2 in that'll play to some of those strengths, to give a team a different look. And so we'll start to maybe look at a play or 2 to add to what we're doing. Right now it's hard when you're playing this many games. It's hard to add anything because by the time you run it, you haven't worked on it enough where it's effective as you think it will be on paper, on the court. So we're going to start maybe piecing a play or 2 more into the playbook.
Is this how you envisioned the 3 transfers playing?
Well, I had a pretty good indication on Malachi because I got to see him a full year of practice last year and know he can score the ball at a high level. I wasn't anticipating he'd be such a good passer. He was a good passer at Washington State. I saw it on tape. But to have games of 10 assists, 9 assists for us, and to be able to score like that is really nice. Yanni, we watched tape on Yanni. We knew he had a good rhythm to what he did, and he's proven to be a very good low-post scorer. So now we have an inside-out attack. And Nathan can score the ball in there, but he's a sophomore, and he will continue to grow his game down there. But Yanni is proven to be a hard guard for people in there. And then when they double him, he's kicked the ball out and got us some threes. So his passing ability. So that's nice. KJ, I think, is still finding his way a little bit. He was a leading scorer at Santa Clara, and so he scored the ball for us. But I think he's still finding his way, with this group. So I think the best is yet to come for him. I think as he gets more rhythm after missing a year, I think he'll continue to improve.
Rex, what is it like to take such a young group of key component kids into high altitude, Fort Collins? Do you structure your package a little bit differently so they don't get worn out? How do you control the tempo for what the Rams or even Wyoming would want to do at altitude?
Yeah, well, obviously we try to arrive 24 to 36 hours before the game. And Sergio said today we're even going to mess with a little beet juice. You know how that is. Anything that's supposed to be good for altitude, we'll see. Hey, if it's good for them mentally, then it's good for them physically. So if they believe it helps, it'll help. So, and then we're going to get out there and, we have a deep lineup, but altitude doesn't have to do with, like, your stamina. It's like catching your breath, So it's not like, well, you go to the bench quicker. The guys will definitely feel some of that effect. How much, it all depends on the player and the person. So I'm interested to see how some of these first-year guys play at altitude.
Brian, your thoughts about playing conference games so early in the season?
Yeah, it's strange. I'm used to being just toward the back end of our non-conference schedule, and our schedule was always broken up into 3 parts: non-conference, conference, and then postseason. So now it's non-conference, conference, non-conference, then conference again. So it's an interesting twist, and this, in my opinion, of the 5 games we play, this will be our hardest game of the month because it's our only true road game. I asked a guy who's in first place in the Mountain West. They looked at me. I said, everybody. No one's played a game. So you play Colorado State, and they're playing for first place right now on a 4-game win streak, and we're going to see their absolute best. And so that will be interesting. And then obviously we come back with San Jose, who struggled with UCLA last night. We have San Diego Christian. You would think at our place we'd have a good chance. We have the neutral game at Staples, but I'm anticipating against Utah that I'm anticipating a huge Aztec crowd for that. I don't think it'll feel like a neutral. I think we'll have a lot of fans there. And then we finish it up with Cal Poly. So 5 games in a month, and the most important and the toughest is probably the one on Wednesday because it's a true road game against a team that's playing well right now.
I asked the players this. Your mindset, obviously, going into this tournament in Las Vegas was, you guys need to go get some quality wins, and you've got a chip on your shoulder and purpose and energy, and you might have been the underdogs going into that, and you got those wins. It seems like the rest of the season, with the exception of a couple games against Utah State, maybe a road game at New Mexico, are all games that could hurt you in terms of your seeding, your metric. How do you approach that mentality, knowing that, unlike in a power conference, there's very, very few landmines. You have landmines every single week.
Yeah, every week. And that's everybody in the country, though. I mean, everybody's playing good competition. It's hard to win a college basketball game. I mean, Steve would have Austin goes in and wins at Duke. Evansville wins at Kentucky. So no matter what the metrics say, just the challenge of winning is always there no matter who you're playing. And so hopefully our maturity and our preparation will give us the best opportunity to win these games. But obviously we all know you run into a hot shooting team, you get a bad play call or two, you get a guy injured for 6 games, like last year Jordan Shackle went down for 6 games, and that's the part you can't, plan for. So every game is going to be a challenge, and I told the guys, I don't want to just have all small pitchers, next game. Before we play USD, I said, this is the first of 5 games in 10 days. We're going to win all 5 and be ranked at the end of the 5 games. Well, obviously we came close. We're not quite in the top 25, but we won those 5 games. And now it's, can we find a way to win 5 games in December? Can we win 5 games in a month? We won 5 games in 10 days. Can we win 5 games in a month? And I told him this one on Wednesday is going to be the hardest of all of them. So we'll see what kind of response we get. I think we'll get a good one, but it's still going to be hard to play in there.
Is the environment at Fort Collins different now than it was when Sdsu was there creating Bedlam? And is Fort Collins tougher than Laramie?
The crowds have dropped everywhere, Lee. I think it's a national trend. I mean, we used to go to Laramie and it'd be full at the AA. You could not find a seat in there. In certain years at Colorado State, when they were playing well, made the tournament, when Timmy Miles was there, we played in a Orange Out or wherever it was. It was full and packed, and yeah, so it was crazy in there. So I watched their last home game. It was right before Thanksgiving break, and the building was not very crowded. But I think with a 4-game winning streak, the students coming back from Thanksgiving, I think they'll have a good crowd for the Aztecs on Wednesday night.
Do you think your players are upset they weren't ranked, or do you think they don't care?
You know, I don't think it's bothers them a whole lot. You know, I think they're just satisfied in the fact we're playing pretty well right now, and we have to stay grounded and we have to continue to work, because I tell them, as good as we're playing, I think we're just scratching the surface in some areas where we can be much better, and the task is to get better in those areas. So I thought rebounding against Iowa was not great, even though I think we probably out-rebound for the game, but we missed a ton of box outs. We weren't hitting people. So there's always lessons to be learned. It's whether they're willing to sit there and take criticism and get better from it. And that's just coaching. So they have to accept the message and know that we're just trying to get them better, and I think they do.
Any thoughts on the Mountain West now that it's starting all of a sudden, and you know, you've had 8 games to see these other teams?
Yeah, the Mountain West, I mean, Utah State is still the mystery when Cato will be back. You know, obviously he's the defensive player of the year and makes a huge difference for him. And with that being said, they've only got 1 loss, and that was at St. Mary's in a 1-point game. So I think if he comes back, that makes a major difference. I think New Mexico's playing pretty good basketball. They've got a win, obviously, over Wisconsin, and playing pretty good basketball right now. I think Boise, you know, even though it was a home game, they beat BYU, who's got some good wins, and they've got an experienced team. So I think they're on the road at the Diamond Head this year, so we didn't get a chance to see them in a neutral yet. So still waiting to see what they are, but I just like Leon as a coach, and I think they've got good experience back. So the Mountain West is going to be competitive. And Nico, like I said, has done an amazing job. I looked at the roster and all the freshmen they have, and they're playing at a higher level than you would expect all these new guys playing at as freshmen. They're organized, they're guarding at a high level, and they're sharing the ball. So he's done a really good job with a young team.
How do you explain to people how hard it is to go through an entire season of the Mountain West 18-game season, even if a lot of the teams are not in the top 25 or even the top 100 of Ken Pom, but just the travel involved, the altitude, the weird environments? How do you just describe it to somebody maybe from the East Coast who isn't aware of the
Yeah, I don't think people realize what altitude can do in certain situations, you know. And I've said it before, I watch our team and I don't even recognize them sometimes. It's like they're running in quicksand. Why are we a step slow today? And it might be due to altitude. You don't know. And like I said, it affects everybody differently. And then the travel's always hard. You know, we don't charter that much. We might take a charter or 2 all year. So we're commercial. We'll fly to Denver tomorrow, and hopefully the weather is nice, and jump on a bus and bus to Fort Collins, and then after the game, bus back to Denver, stay overnight, and catch a morning flight. And, you know, it's not that that's complaining, but teams that charter, you fly in, you play, you fly back that night, and you're in your own bed. So there is a difference, you know, with flying charter aircraft. And, you know, we don't have that luxury all the time. We have it for certain games, which is very nice, but it makes a difference.
Does it just sort of have a cumulative effect on a team, or all the teams in the Mountain West having to go through all that over the course of the year, just grinds them down?
Yeah, it can wear you down, and hopefully that's why our depth will pay dividends for us. We have a deep team. You know, we're only going 10 deep, and we could easily go 11. And so, you know, I've never been one to say I want to play 10 guys. I think just the thought of that sounds ridiculous, but here we are playing 10 guys, and they're all very productive, and I can't see how I could say to any of them they're not going to play, because they're all producing on the floor. And that's the beauty of having the team I got. It's not the guys that are coming off the bench. They're always going to be ready and anxious. It's the guys that all of a sudden might lose a minute or two because I've got someone off the bench in the game longer than I would, or an extra guy off the bench. And they seem to be able to stay focused and not let that bother them. And when I bring the starters back in, they seem ready to go, and their legs are fresher, and they're playing better because of it.
The last couple of years, do you think you've developed an identity of role players for the guy that's the 8th guy, 9th guy, 10th guy, and that really serves you to change the personality of the game?
Yeah, I mean, we just say play to your strengths, you know. So a role player means if you're a shooter and a one-dribble player, then be a shooter and a one-dribble player. If you're a guy that can really shoot, get hot, and shoot the fall away, and whatever shot you want to take, and it's good for you, then play that way. You know, don't play out of your character. Don't show me something in the game you haven't shown me in practice. You know, so the thing I like is they're sharing the ball, you know. And I think Jordan and Matt, being program guys in their third years, are both playing the best basketball of their careers. You know, Matt is really Matt's step back in the post is a good shot. You know, I always got a little concerned Matt was shooting step backs from three, and some of those I didn't think they were great shots, and he seems to avoid those a little bit more. He's taking the ball more aggressively to the basket. He's kicking it out. You know, Jordan's always been a great shooter, and now he's shown an ability, maybe a one dribble pull up, a couple bounces into the paint. So they're just, you know, they're putting work into their games, and as they get better, we get better. So they're both developing into really good aspects. Adam Seiko, you know, he came in one game in Vegas. I think he was 3 for 5 from three, or one of those games. So he shot the ball well. He came in and guarded when we got in foul trouble. So everybody seems to be improving their play, and as they individually improve, the team improves.
Coach, you spoke about just scratching the surface. Is there a benefit to not being ranked, or do you prefer to be ranked, or?
I mean, I think being ranked is a good thing. It just gives us more national exposure. You know, when they post the scores online, they post the top 25 scores. You know, so you're in that. You're not in the secondary column. So I think exposure to the program is a good thing. As far as our level of play, it can go either way. I mean, I can go to practice today and tell them it's an insult, we're not ranked, and got to have a chip on our shoulder. It's all coach spin at that point, you know. So I don't think this group is going to sit there and, boy, coach is really mad we're not ranked. I think they'll come out and go to work, because that's what they did at the start of the year when we weren't on anybody's radar.